today we're going to get into some real life stuff, which is, I think, exciting because this helps us better in cartooning. So we have this picture of the elephant from the site, and then we have our favorite person, The Rock, right? So this picture, so this is going to give us some good, like, as far as like anatomy stuff, and he's got all his muscles out. So we're going to do some anatomical things with a human, and then, oh, Samantha, very nice. Very nice. I dig it. And then we're going to get into, is that somebody of your own creation or a friend?
No, I'm in swim team, and this is one of my coaches, and yeah, I basically drew her for her.
Nice. That's awesome. Did you draw it on your phone, or did you draw it on paper and take a picture?
I did it on paper, and I took a picture.
Nice. Love it. Very cool, man. All right, so let's get into, while Baton Bunny is going, I'm going to go grab that original production drawing. Let's get into one of my all-time favorite Chuck Jones cartoons, which is Baton Bunny. And if you can roll that, Scott. One of my favorites, and here is a production drawing from, I'm going to show right here. Here's a production drawing from Baton Bunny. So Chuck Jones, right? And then here's my certificate saying that it's for real. So I rarely ever do I take these out, but you guys can see like the Acme punch up there. So this was one of the animation drawings. I love that film. All right, getting into today. We're going to do some real life stuff, and I like animals and humans, right? And Chuck was always big on drawing real life stuff because he said the better you can do it that, the better you'll do it cartooning. So today it's kind of breaking down. I love elephants. I think they're fantastic animals, and we all love The Rock because we've started with The Rock from day one. And even though Liliana gave me the eyeballs when I held up The Rock and said, "Look at this," and she was like, "Again, really?" That's okay. We're going to do it again because someday The Rock's going to crash this class and we're all going to freak out openly. All right, so let's get into, everybody has their paper, right? Everybody has their paper. Everybody has their drawing utensil. We're going to start today with The Rock. So if you, Scott, can spotlight this for me. All right. Now, if you printed out the picture, awesome. If you did not, that's okay because we're going to reference this. But what I wanted to do to start on The Rock is breaking down human form into simple shapes, right? I'm not worried about all the tattoos right now. But if you notice The Rock, right, if I have a rectangle like so, and you don't have to start this yet, just watch me real quick. We're going to do a quick thumbnail. So my quick thumbnail is The Rock's head, right? So if I've got The Rock's head, notice that about a third of the way down is where his eyes are. So I would be putting, instead of the eyes in the middle, I'd be putting his eyes up and then cutting that in half, right? So that when we did do his head, he got his eyeballs in with this super quick sketch. Right, we got his nose and how his nose comes down in, and then his head. So you can kind of see how we break down things. I know this is kind of small, but there we go. So we're kind of just breaking down simple shapes, right, for The Rock. And then we got his chin, and then we got his cheekbones up here, right? So it's just kind of breaking down in simple shapes. So that's what we're going to do today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this piece of paper like so that I can keep it in frame, and we are going to draw The Rock as real as we possibly can. This helps in any form, whether you like drawing cartoons, whether you like drawing comic book figures, doesn't really matter. So the better you can draw it real life, the better you're going to get at cartoons. All right, here we go. So everybody has their paper. Go ahead, and I'm going to use this as our reference. So if you don't have the picture printed out, it's not a big deal. We're going to use this as the reference. I'm going to have him off just to the side there. Okay, so I'm going to erase this first.
Hey Ben, I wanted to go back to the chat. There's a question. Did you ever meet Chuck?
No, I unfortunately never got to meet Chuck because he passed away in 2002, I believe, and I didn't meet Craig, his grandson, until about 2007. So I did get to go to his 100th birthday celebration. Obviously, he wasn't alive at that point in 2012, but that was pretty remarkable. So I do know a lot of his family, and they are very awesome people. So unfortunately, I never got to meet Chuck. I do have his animation desk. I do. It's in storage right now because it's part of a museum exhibit, and I'm dying to bring it to my studio. All right, so as we're going, we got our piece of paper, right? We're going to start a little bit higher up, and we're going to just do a rectangle to start with, like so. All right, we're going to break down, and you can, if you want to, as we're going, you want to map stuff out, that's totally fine. But notice, again, right in his eyes, if we were to draw a box, his eyes are about 1/3 of the way down from the top of his head. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to break this into thirds, and they're looking straight at me, right? I've got my line right here, and then my center line because he's looking in the middle of the paper. All right, now as I have this in, I usually from here, I'll start to map in small features. So bring this in a little bit tighter. All right, and we'll get in with his eyes. And what I'll do is, if you can see the corner later, if you can see the corners of his eyes right here, right? So like right here and right here is what I use to touch this line with. So, and his eyes, if you notice on people's faces, their eyes, come back to me real quick. So the eyes, the distance between here and here is about the distance of an eyeball. So if I were to not stab myself in the eyeball with a pencil, but if I were to take my pencil right and from the end of my eraser, I'm at the very end point of my eye here, and I go this way. Notice that where my finger is to that, it's almost exactly the same distance. So when you're drawing faces and you're kind of getting an idea of what distance is, right? Use your pencil, and then you can, this is what I do to kind of get a little bit more accurate. So I'll kind of measure a little bit, and then notice that right there, and then look at that, right from the edge of my eyeball to the edge of my head is another eyeball. So if you figure out distance-wise, and I'm looking straight at you, it's about 5 eyeballs across. So we're going to apply that same theory to the rock. And if you can see there on the lines that I've done, right, there's an eyeball. It's about the same distance there, and then about the same distance to the side of his head. So same theory applies, right? So I've got the rock who has across his face 5 eyeballs. So if you were to make lines, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eyeballs. Well, eyeball distances, right? And that's how we can help to map this out. So when I do his eye, notice too that the eyeball itself is it's not a perfect just half circle. So his eye kind of goes up, flattens out a little bit, and then down. Same thing with the other side. And then underneath, you can kind of see that curve, right? So we'll just kind of put in the small under part of his eyes right there. And then notice too, like his eyelid. So you don't really see the eyelids too much. Kind of comes over just gently. And just like that, we have the rock's eyeballs in. Now, for the bridge of his nose, you'll notice that it comes like right here would be considered like the top of his nose, comes to the top of his eyeballs. So right there would be the top of his nose. And then in the distance between here, if I were to look at this rectangle, right, his nose comes down about halfway through. And because he's looking up, what I'll do is I'll start with a circle, which is this part of his nose right here. Right? And then he's got his nostrils. So there's circles kind of on the side there. And we'll just very gently map in his nostrils. And then I'll usually do a line. So we'll do a little shading underneath his nose because that circle that we made, right, part of it is on top, the other comes down below. So like so. If you have any questions, pipe in. Scott's monitoring the chat as well. All right, and then that nose kind of comes up. I do a very light line right for the middle of his nose right there. So you can kind of see right there. That's this part of his nose. So it's all basic shapes when we're starting to map this out. If it gets frustrating when you're drawing human figures, or really anything in nature, like real life. And we've got kind of two, these make like two triangles on each side. And then if you'll notice also his nostrils, so mine are a little wider than they should be, right? They should be a little bit thinner because if you look here on his face, you take a straight line from the inside of his eyeball, look at how it almost is directly matches the nostrils. So when you're mapping out somebody's face, take that line from the inside of their eyeball, go straight down, and you'll be able to see, like, mine is a little bit off, so I'm gonna just fix that. Where those nostrils are. Do the same thing over here and fix this. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Now, if you look at his eyeballs, it's not a perfect circle right in there. It is a circle, but it sits a little bit higher. And so it goes above, kind of touches the bottom of his eye and goes just above. And he's got a little speck of light, like a fleck of light in his. All right. So getting in that breaking down of things, right? If I look between where his nose is and the bottom of that, so right here in the bottom of his nose to the bottom of this square, a little bit above halfway is where his mouth sits. So you can do, and if you look too at his lips, when you're doing faces, look at how almost exactly the same, right from the inside of that eyeball, the way he has his mouth. Sometimes the mouth will come out and it'll be about halfway between the eyeball. So in this case, because he has pursed lips, they come just about inside the, where the nostrils are. Like so. All right. Now you notice his chin comes down here, and we're gonna just do a circle for the chin. That'll just let us know where that is. And then as we finish off his head, off with his head. All right. So we finish off his head here. So we have our basic components down to the middle, right? If you'll notice where we've got like the line here is actually where the side of his mouth is. He's got like a line right there. So if you take a small line halfway down and you just very gently it kind of creates that part right underneath his nose. All right, now the rock has kind of a squared off jaw, right? That sits just right about where that line is. So that circle that we have goes just below that line. This is about where his jaw comes up. And if you notice, so we're gonna take from underneath here, we go around and right about there. What if the rock was secretly watching right now? We didn't even know. And what says Zoom 1 CJCC was actually the rock. And then he just turns it on. He's like, surprise, I would freak out. It's not actually gonna happen, but that's okay. All right. So we've got this kind of a loose line for the jawline in, and then you got cheekbones, right? And his cheekbones, if you notice right here, we do this with a, can I move my camera a little? Yes, what would, oh, sorry. There we go. So if you notice his cheekbones, whoever renamed themselves Dwayne The Rock Johnson is brilliant. Thank you, Max and Des. All right.
That's pretty funny.
So look at his cheekbones there. It's right about in line with his nose, right? So you would know then that right about here is a cheek, right about here is a cheek. And where he's got this line, I like to measure things on faces, right? So if I have a line right here across, which would be right on the top of my nose, this is where I have a line going up diagonally. Same here. And then his forehead. So you see this line right in here. It's a little far over. So that line almost goes right matches up with the side of his eyeball and up. So if you take from the side of his eyeball up, that's where that forehead is. Let's get some eyebrows in here. He doesn't really have prominent eyebrows, but right, and then you can do a little shading if you want underneath. All right, so we have Rock's head. And now we're gonna go from the side where we have here, because if you notice from the edge of his cheek, we're gonna kind of come up into a sort of dome. It doesn't come up too much. Right? Actually, that might come up a little bit higher. All right, so just like that, I'll erase a few lines in here. And we can add his ears. So look at where his ears come in. If you look at the bottom of his nose, kind of for measurement, and the top of his nose. So what would be on our paper, this is his left ear, right? Actually sits just above his jawline. And then the bottom of his ear comes down to about the bottom of his mouth. So you just would have a line coming out there, and his ear would sit about like so, right? But if you notice, if you look at the other side of his face, his right ear is at about the top of his nose. So we already have that top of our nose line, and then that comes down to about where this line is in the middle of his lips. So his one ear is a little bit lower. I would never tell him that. I don't think he would care, but I wouldn't be like, hey man, you're asymmetrical. And then he would crush my bones. All right. So there we go. We got his ears that are a little bit different. Just like that. You can add a little shading to it. Just like that, we have a head for the rock. I'm gonna add a little bit of shading underneath, it's like underneath his lip and his chin. His nose and his nostrils. From here, we're gonna work on his body. So kind of getting that where things take place in there. As far as muscle, arms, elbows, shoulders, that kind of thing. I think the rock would totally appreciate what we're doing today. All right.
That was everything except for the asymmetrical comment.
Yeah, and I wouldn't make that comment. I wouldn't tell him he has asymmetrical ears. I would just be like, hey, you look great, man. Nice job, Samantha. There you go. See? An easy way to break down a human face. All right, so let's get into the body. Now, here's what I want you to kind of consider when we're doing this. Again, this is all about measuring things, right? So when we're looking at human form, I do this all the time. I'm doing it whether I'm drawing like trees and perspective, buildings, people, that kind of thing. I'm using my pencil to kind of eyeball and using something like an eyeball or a nose or something to figure out proportions. So let's go back to this in the paper. All right, now let's go up a little bit. There we go. In what we have here, the rock has a gigantic neck. He has gigantic shoulders. Notice that his what are these called? Your lats? No. No. Come on, Scott, you work out. What are these called again? Man, why can't I remember anything right now? All right, let's go with shoulders. These muscles right here, folks. So we've got, what's that?
Sorry, I can't remember. I haven't had my coffee yet.
That's all right. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the rock's head as a measurement tool. And if you can see, we're going to do it like this. I'm going to take one head down, and at one head, I'm right at where I'm right at where kind of his tank top comes down, right? Which means that, so right there, and I move over, and then if I go from the side of his head, and I'm going to take just where we did, like from here, right? So if I take the side of his head, and I go from the middle, I can see where it actually is right here, right? So this muscle grouping right here with his shoulder comes in right there. Now let's see if he is asymmetrical or symmetrical. Oh, the rock, right down the middle. Oh, guess what? He's slightly, again, we're not going to mention this because he's huge. He's slightly asymmetrical. All right, so notice where my lines are here, right? Now, if I were to do another rock head, so if I were to take this and mark down on my paper right about there, That's kind of where his tank top comes in. If I look at the distance between here and here, 3/4 of the way down is where his neck stops. So if I were to do like 25%, 50%, wait, I'm doing my measurements wrong. 25, there we go. So about 1, 2, 3, right? So if I broke it into 4 areas, this part of his neck kind of comes down right there. The rock has a huge neck. So remember that the width of his head up from the middle, and then from the middle so let's get his neck in there. His neck too, if you notice on the lines, his neck is almost the same, right down that line of the side of his head. So I'm just going to very gently create a line like so, because it starts about at right this line, like so. There we go. Kind of lets me know where his neck comes down to the beginning of his pecs, right? His chest muscles. And then if I'm looking at the distance here on his shoulders on where that starts, it's just beneath his chin. So right about here is where I would start this line. And again, measuring, if you look at this, it's halfway between here and here. So this line right here is where, man, I'm gonna have to bring that down a lot further. Right about where we meet his shoulders. So let's bring this down here, right about where we meet his shoulders. And it kind of looks weird. Doesn't it look weird? You're like, no, that can't be right. But if you look at his drawing and his shoulders are down, they sit right about there. So in his mammoth, sweet mercy shoulders, we're going to see where that line comes. So it'll dip just below here. So if I have this line here, his shoulders are going to come down right about there. And for the time being, for the moment, because in this line that I have that comes down, his shoulders kind of sit like so. We're just going to draw big circles. And I can't tell totally where his pectoral muscles come down, but it's about the same distance from half. So this is 1/4. I would take another half distance here, and that's about where his pectoral muscles are. So we're just going to concentrate on this part for the moment. And then we're going to get into elephants, because the rock is gigantic, and so are elephants. It's all gigantic mammals today. All right. So in his shoulders, see where we have his neck coming down. Go ahead and bring his tank top over. And this is that line, that one where we did the full head, is right where that sits. And then it's a little thinner here, and then comes almost straight down. Right underneath where this line where his pectoral muscles stop. All right. And having those lines in helps, because as we look at where his shoulder muscle sits, and again, it's not a perfect circle, Look at the shape. So what I'll do is I'll sometimes get muscle groupings like so. And I'll say, all right, there's a muscle and there's a muscle, right? So you kind of break down his shoulder muscle into shapes. Same here. Right? So you can see the definition there. And then all I'm going to do is go over my lines. I think he has more muscle in his shoulder than I do, probably in my entire body. All right, so you can kind of see where that goes. And then this line that we have here comes down. And then we get into the bicep, which we're not going to do the full bicep. We're just going to show this piece. All right. How's everybody doing? Are you absolutely hating this, or is this coming out halfway decent? And I would say, as in everything, practice, practice, practice. Remember, the better you do at this, the better you get at everything else when it comes to cartooning. All right, so that's put a few wrinkles in the shirt. So that's the beginning to our rock. Let's see what you guys did, and then we're gonna go elephant style. All right, come on, let's see it. If you don't want to show, you don't have to show, but it would be awesome if you did. So we have enough people where I can see everybody on grid view. If you don't have to raise a blue hand, just raise a hand and we will spotlight you. Liliana and Heather Rose, let's go to you first. All right, ladies, you can unmute yourself.
Here's Heather Rose's.
Dude, you did great. You got drop shoulders. I love the pose. Very nice. That's not easy to do.
Mine.
Well done. Love the definition and the muscles and stuff too. You got his head shape down with the proportions for his eyes and everything. Well, Rock would be proud. Well done. Nice job, ladies.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to Samantha. See, there you go. I love too that you got like the eyes for the Rock are really like that's a signature for him, right? And you totally nailed that. I love it. Love the drop shoulders and the muscle tone. Well done, man. Not easy to do. Well done. All right, where are we going next? We are going to get back to grid. Vienna and Victoria. Oh, yes. Yes. Look at that, guys. You did great. I am totally impressed. It's not easy to do. You broke it down well. I can totally tell who it is. I love the muscle shape. Well done, guys. Well
humans
done.
the hardest to draw.
It is. We're gonna elephants will be. I think elephants are more fun, even though I think drawing the Rock is fun because it's different. All right. How about Des and Max or Jack? Do either of you guys want to go, or Sophie and Emily? Jack wants to go. Let's go to Jack and then Des and Max. All right. Let's see what you got, buddy. Look at that. Yes. Well done, buddy. Love the shoulders. I love what you have going on with the biceps and the shape of his head. Great positioning for the eyes and proportions. I'm impressed, man. Nice job. All right, Des and Max.
Hi. So I'm still kind of finishing it up. Let me see. Just 1 second. I literally just need like 1 second. I need to fix his hair.
Yep, no problem. Wait, he didn't have any hair.
I'm not gonna share mine
Well,
because I sort of messed up. So
That's okay.
Have in the Tooth Fairy.
I remember that movie. Yes. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Way to turn it into something. All right, good job, fellas. Good job. All right, Emily and Sophia, did you guys want to show? Hello, ladies. What? Look at you. That looks great. You got muscle tone down. You got good shape on the face.
This is mine.
There you go. I love the shoulders down. You got the shape of his head right. You got proportions for his eyes and nose right. You got his asymmetrical ears right, but we're not going to tell the rock he has asymmetrical ears. Very awesome. Ladies, you did great. How do you feel about that? You're like, I don't know what to feel about it. I think you guys did awesome, and it's not easy to do, especially for real life stuff. You're welcome. All right, let's get into elephants. So there's our rock, right? Let's get into elephants. I'm going to do the same thing with elephants. Oh, nice. There you go. And you got with his workout stuff and those things that I never use. Looks great, Samantha. All right, let's get into elephants. Here's what I love about elephants. Elephants have a lot of very cool basic shapes, right? And what we're going to look at in this, specifically in the head, right, is basic shapes. So if you notice, like when we start breaking this drawing down, I've got kind of a main circle right here, right? And that's kind of like the base where this part of his head is. And while it's not a perfect circle, it's okay because that's where we kind of gives us some shape. And then from there, he's got like a four-sided, not quite a rectangle. And then we've got kind of a big triangle for the ears. And then we've got like a circle down here for the jaw and another rectangle here for the tusks, where like the tusks come out of. And then obviously his trunk is kind of a sloping rectangle a bit. So what I love about elephants is how basic shapes make interesting creatures, right? So we're going to start with this. I'm going to leave this up here for you guys to see. All right. And let's go. Can you, Scott, does my video cut off at the top?
The elephant's head is cut at the top, yeah.
All right,
That's better.
I'm going to do this to start because we're going to concentrate on his head right now. All right, so elephant's head, right? So on your piece of paper, going a little tighter. There we go. And we're going to start with a circle. Imagine that. And then if you notice, when I did that circle, his eye kind of sits right here, right? So that's about where, not the center of his eye is, but sits real low on that circle. So this isn't, in this case, on what we're drawing, this is not to indicate what direction he's looking, because he's, for the most part, looking straight ahead. This is just to indicate where his eye position is on the left side of his face. All right. And then if I break down shapes further, I've got, so what I'll do is I'll take my pencil and I'll have a sloping, I'll measure out one. So about at the two circle, it's kind of like right here. So about down to here. And from his eye position, I've got an idea of where his trunk is going to go. And then right above that and to the back is about where his tusk is. Doesn't look like an elephant at the moment, but it will. And then if you see right here, if I had a circle that was kind of touching, and it comes down to about, so if I have my circle here, it's about the same, so it touches about the same place. I just want to make a circle that touches this. It doesn't overlap it, but it's the same. See, as we're breaking down the drawing, it's just the bottom is the same here. That edge is the same and it fits within there. That's kind of where that cheek is, if you will. And then as we move up, I've got one big triangle and a little triangle. So I've got a little triangle that kind of comes off here, right? That's this part of his head. And then I have a much bigger triangle. Kind of cuts into his cheek a little bit. That goes down to about here, creating his ear. Again, I'm going to move this over. Basic shapes, right? Basic shapes. So now that I have that down, I'm not worried about the tusks and anything yet. Everybody good on basic shapes? So we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 basic shapes for the elephant's head. So remember when I said we had our eye placement, his eye. I love elephants' eyes because they have so much character and personality to them. So if you notice, he's got a lot of wrinkles. Right? A lot of wrinkles. There we go. And then I have his, if I'm looking at this line right here, it goes up and over. So I would take my line from here, I would go up and over and down. And that would help with where his trunk is. At the top of his head. And because we did this where we connected it with a little bit of a triangle, we have a shape that comes over and then starts to connect to where his ear is going to go. All right. This piece right here connects to the triangle, so we're going to go from underneath his eyeball just right out to where it touches. So what this will allow us to do is where this piece of the triangle is, kind of, remember there's a little character in the line. There we go. And how many people do we have on today? We've got Jack, Liliana, Heather Rose, Samantha, Sophia and Emily, Vienna, Victoria, Des and Max, Lily. I'm pretty sure all of you had registered at one point, right? Everybody registered when I was giving away free stuff. Yeah, I know Emily and Sophia did, Liliana, Heather Rose, Jack. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. If you're not on the class today, you're not on the class, right? And that's okay because it's summertime. But if you're on the class, that's cool. Again, I've missed you guys. So did I show you the stickers that I did? Did everybody see the stickers? Yeah? No? I have my little monkeys and stickers. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to send mystery packs of stickers. So if you're on the call today, right, I'm just going to, next week, I'm going to ship out mystery packs of stickers. So I'm going to, maybe there'll be, if you're in a sibling phone call right now, do not worry. You will have the same amount as your sibling, right? But I'm gonna send out a few. So maybe it's a mystery pack of 4. You get to pick 2. So Emily would pick 2, Sophia pick 2, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, the point being, next week to all of you, and I'm gonna write names down real quick. Actually, I'm gonna screenshot this. I'm gonna send so that I have it. What's that?
I just got a screenshot for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So happy 4th of July. You all get stickers. And you know what's hilarious is Amin had jumped on one of my things that I had done for Tempe, Arizona, and he's like, are you done with vacation? Are you giving out more stuff? Amin's not on the call today. Amin, I'm sorry, buddy, but you missed out on some stickers. All right, so let's get back to the elephant. So we're going to go for, we got what? I got about 6 minutes left. So here's what I want to do. As we get into where the tusks sit, right, you see that line that comes down? And it bends up over and kind of comes back in. to this point where it almost doesn't that look like an elephant smile to you? That right there, whoop, looks like an elephant smiling. So this dude's happy, or dudette, but I say dude for everybody, so it's kind of gender neutral. And then we've got his cheek. So we're going to follow that kind of circle around there. And then his tusks. Same dude, yes. All right. So his tusks come out like so. Right. We've got, at this point here is where his trunk kind of goes downward. And all I'm going to do for the moment is draw a general shape for that. Right, so I've got my general shape in, and then I've got another tusk that I can see coming in over on this side. So you can add wrinkles afterwards. Like I like the elephant wrinkles and all the little character that goes into it. I'm not going to do all of them, but you can get the idea of, right? That kind of stuff. All right, now let's finish off with his ear. So we did a general triangle for his ear. Obviously, his ear is not a perfect triangular shape. So if you look here, we're going to take this shape right here, kind of that, there we go. And we're going to bring this out and down to about the corner. It can seem a little odd sometimes when we're drawing shapes like on an elephant's face and they're way bigger, but that's just the way it is. So don't feel bad about that. All right. So I've got his giant ear, right? You can add some of the little eccentricities then. He's got some wrinkles that kind of come up. And then you can do a little shading. Now I've got like this part of his ear underneath here. It's a little darker, it's on the other side. Even this piece under here where his tusk is a little darker. Up into where that smile is, because I like to think he's smiling. All right. Just like that. I'll do a little bit of shading here. And here's what I want you to understand too. If it's not coming out perfect, like you're maybe you're getting a little frustrated with it. I get frustrated with this stuff all the time, and that's a good thing, right? Because I'm learning from that. The key is not to quit. So Chuck was very famous for saying, you've got 100,000 bad drawings in you. The faster you get them out, the better. I am nowhere near my 100,000 bad drawings. So if you get frustrated with this stuff, it's okay. I get frustrated all the time. The key is to keep going. All right, so there's our elephant head. Can we go, does anybody want to show theirs? Lily, all right, let's go to Liliana and Heather Rose.
Okay, here's the roses.
Yes, that looks great. What does he have on his trunk or on his tusk?
He's smiling because he got a pack of your stickers. So.
Well done. Nice job incorporating that in. I love the shape. You got the shapes great on the head. Very good.
Mine.
Yeah, look at that. Look at the shading too. Nice job. So how did it work to break it down into simpler shapes?
It made it a lot easier to draw than the other elephants I've drawn.
Right? It kind of helps give us a sense of proportion and perspective, right?
Yeah.
So I think you did great, man. I love the shading on it. Really well done.
Thank you.
You did awesome. All right, let's go around. Sophie and Emily, I believe, raised some hands. Ladies.
Here's my elephant.
Oh, yes. Look at that. I love the tusks. The eye came out great. I love the shading. Nice job. Well done. All right, let's
Thank you.
sisters.
And this is mine so far.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah. All right. So you got some great basic shapes down, right? And it helps kind of get that perspective. Very cool. All right. Let's go to who's up next? Vienna and Victoria. All right, ladies. Wow, you went to town. I can't believe you drew that fast. I love the wrinkles on them and everything. Way to go. You get the high five also. Very nice.
Victoria.
Look at that. That looks great. I love the tusks. I love his big ears. That looks really good. Nice job, ladies.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wait, did mom do one too?
Yes.
Oh, come on, mom. I'm gonna
I tried.
No, you tried. You did great. All right, so
Thank you.
I'm gonna make sure, like when I send stickers to Vienna and Victoria, mom's got some stickers going also. All right, nice job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Des and Max. All right, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so mine is almost done. So Max can show you his while I'm showing.
So it's
finishing up mine.
not quite finished. I didn't get to really get the body done. But here, got this. I don't know if you can
Dude, that came out great.
see if I can turn it.
Nice job. I can see it perfect. Nice job on proportion. I like the fact that you shaded that back leg too.
Yeah.
You
Thanks.
should be proud of yourself, dude. That came out great.
Some of the lines aren't showing up. I did a lot of shading and detail on the face, but the lines aren't showing up for some reason.
That's okay. I get like overall, just even looking at it from what I can see and the information that comes through, your proportions are great. Nice job, man. It's not easy to do. Did it help to break it down into basic shapes?
Yes, I break my art into basic shapes, anyways. So yeah, I took an entire comic book like drawing class, and it really helped me out, not just with like the proportions and stuff, but with drawing cartoonish characters as well. Like it helped being able to understand all of the like how things work and stuff. So yeah, it was a lot of
Awesome. Well, the proof is in the pudding, right? And I can tell that by your drawing. So well done.
I'm almost done. Just give me like 5 seconds.
No
1,
worries, man.
3, 4, and 5. So for this one, I actually did a betterish job.
Yeah, you did. Dude, that looks great.
It's not showing through very well.
I got I can tell the shape on everything and what you have down. Tusks look good. Eye position looks good. Ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You should be proud of that.
Yeah, and also it was sort of hard for me because I burned my hand the other day.
Was it like epic or was it one of those, oh shoot?
It was me spilling hot ramen on myself because I put it into a stick.
Oh, I was gonna
Yeah.
be like, were you fighting off ninjas or something? And
Yeah,
that's all right.
they threw like
That's all right.
lava at me. No,
Well,
that would have been epic.
I hope you heal quickly, man.
Thanks.
Well done on your drawing. All right, let's go to Samantha. Come on now. Give a little to the screen. Give a little to the screen. No, you're not looking at my screen. Give a little to the screen. Where did you go? She disappeared. Did you high five it? All right. That's awesome. Well done. Love the wrinkles. Love the shading. Love the proportions. You did great, man. And you signed it and dated it. Very good. So here's what I want to do. Can we hold up our drawings? I'm gonna get the rock and hold it up here. Can everybody hold up their drawings and up to the screen? Scott, can you do a screenshot of this? And then Scott, you just let us know when we're good.
Okay. Just waiting on a couple people.
Rock or elephant, Liliana and Heather Rose, whichever one you want to do.
Des and Max. And let's see. And what about Lily?
Lily, do you want to show? You don't have to if you don't want to.
No?
All right, let's go with this.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. All right, dudes. So, well done. Loved it all. I'm going to give you one sneak peek on something. So I've submitted, I do paintings for Chuck Jones galleries, right? In my free time. So here is a concept that got approved that I'm going to start painting. And it's going to be slightly big. And it's from one of my favorites. We watched this in class, Bully for Bugs, right? And it's the moment, of course, I call it the right before moment, right? So this is right before everything blows up. So I'm going to start painting this next week, but this is a little sneak peek at an approved sketch. So, all right, Scott, back to center real quick. It was fantastic seeing all of you. Thank you so much for jumping on with me today. I am totally impressed by everybody, and I'm not just saying that to say that. It's not easy to do this stuff, but you guys did a great job in understanding human form, like animal form, breaking down things into shapes. That should give you confidence as you move forward. The better you do at this, the better you do at cartoons. So I have no idea what I'm doing totally next week, but it's something in this realm of stuff. And early next week, I will send out stickers. So within, I don't know how long it takes, like a week or so to get to you. But there's going to be magic packs of stickers for everybody. So I have all your information. Thank you so much. See you guys next week. Yes, thank you, surprise face. Have a great 4th of July, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Later, guys. You're welcome.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.